Lots of offense going on right now, Bob Ryan. I mean, my word.
I'm working on a story on that, guys, and it's really fascinating. The thought that some of the stuff, and basically, I'm going to tell you a sneak preview.
Yeah.
25 years ago, we were in a basketball ice age. A quarter century ago, it was if scoring 100 was a big deal. Right. I'm not lying. It was awful. Anyway, this is if you like big boxcar numbers, this is the week for you. You know?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was 71 in the Cavs overtime win over Chicago, 145 to 134. Giannis had 55 to beat Washington. Klay Thompson had 54. And is the offense getting better, Bob, or does the defense suck?
I think I think the offense is getting tougher to deal with. Everybody can shoot, the three now, and everybody, quote unquote,
everybody does shoot the three now.
It's the currency, and it has had a big difference. Tempo. I think coaches that want to move it up the floor. That was the problem 25 years ago. I used to say that we had a bunch of coaches in the league who were happier when they didn't have the ball than when they did, and I really believe that to be true. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that's gone. So it's an up-tempo, offensive-minded league. By the way, hidden in the bull rushes there, it's definitely an offensive era. There's no question. Of course. So, guys, I want to tell you something. It was the first thing I thought of when I saw that score. I've been here before. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
On March 9th, 1979, in the Silverdome, the final score was Boston. It was Detroit Pistons 160. I said SIXTY. Boston Celtics 117. That sound familiar? Kevin Porter had 32 points and 25 assists. But in my everlasting memory, guys, of that night in Silverdome was the coach of the Pistons doing this bit, leading the cheers, rousing the crowd the whole night. Dick Vitale. It was
really.
It was on a road trip in which the Celtics were humiliated twice. They also got blown out in New Orleans and gave up like 140. And I remember standing next to John Y. Brown after the game, asking me, "What's wrong with us?"
Well, I want to know what you told John Y. Brown.
I think I told him, "You're not very good." They weren't very good.
And that's why Bob Ryan's in the Hall of Fame.
No, really. I mean, I couldn't get that, but he was like, because Phil Maris doesn't talk to him in the tunnel after that New Orleans fiasco. Anyway, so 150 to 117 does not set a record for the Celtics in humiliation. 160 to 117 does. Now, one other thing about last night's game: 5 guys in double and 20 points. Okay, I have only seen that personally twice in all my career in the NBA.
Really?
Twice before that. That's very, 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 very rare.
Yeah.
The first one I saw was in the early 70s. The Celtics beat the Bullets on a night when there was an Usher strike. I remember the Ushers were in strike at Boston Garden, and the starting 5, which was predictable. Got and Don Chaney was the one who you didn't expect to get 20, but the Duck had 20 that night. That's one of the times. The other one that I saw was in the 1984 Western Conference Finals. The Suns beat the Lakers in L.A. And if you can name the starting 5, Jeff Goodman.
Go ahead.
Okay, it was Alvin Adams,
yeah.
Larry Nance Sr.,
yeah,
Walter Davis, Kyle Macy. I'm forgetting the 5th myself. I'll have to look.
Walter Davis. I forgot about Walter Davis.
It's a good team.
But that was the team, Maurice Lucas.
Oof.
You played for the Suns?
Forgot Maurice Lucas.
Yeah, Maurice Lucas.
Totally forgot.
So that was the 5 that beat the Lakers that night in L.A.
I remember. Didn't Lucas go to the Lakers after Portland?
Yeah, he played for the Lakers. In fact, he involved in a famous brawl in an exhibition game with the Celtics. I forget who was his combatant, but the Celtics went out there to play an exhibition game or two, and they got into a brawl. This is the peak of the Bird era.
Bob, how much credit are we giving Donovan Mitchell for this 71? Because there were a few things at play here, right? Number one, this was not a regulation game, right? I mean, he still had 58 in regulation. He still had a hell of a game. My bigger take on this is these numbers right now, how insane they are. This was the 8th highest scoring output of all time, right? Wilt had I believe 6 of the top 10.
Probably.
Kobe, we know, had 81 back in 2006.
I wrote him down,
against the
Jeff.
Raptors.
Wilt, Kobe, David Thompson, David Robinson, and Elgin Baylor are all 70 plus.
Okay.
Right. So this was the 8th highest, but again, not a regulation game. Number one. Number two, I'm looking at it now, and the scoring, like you said, in 2006 when Kobe put up his 81, the average points per game, the league was averaging 97 points a game, Bob.
Yeah.
You know what they're averaging right now?
100 and what? 10?
113.8. That is a record. That is 3 points higher than a year ago, believe it or not. So how much, putting into perspective, obviously it was an incredible night. And I love Donovan Mitchell, so I don't want to disparage him. But I guess, Bob, try to put it in perspective here of its historical significance.
Yeah, well, no, you do. You always have to. You always should. No matter when any of these things come up, you should understand that. No, I think your point is well taken. Anyone should understand that we're in an inflated offensive era right now, and things. Maybe it'll be as we were in an ice age a quarter century ago.
Well, do you like it?
I'm happier with this than I was with the other one.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I can remember. There were 2 finals in a row, so 97 and 98. The Bulls beat the Jazz twice in a row. 2 6-game series.
They were that bad, right? They were awful.
It was horrible. And nobody was scoring 100. And we had a game. Remember that? There was a 96-54 game. Remember that? Against the Jazz. We come. So we had that era when nobody. I can remember having a conversation with. 2 things come to mind here. One was David Stern. We were all badgering David Stern during the finals about these abysmal low scores. And what's he going to say? And he was saying, "Hey, you guys like baseball. You like a 1-0 game, right? It's something he was always easy, but he was always a good to approach." The other, here's an anecdote you'll love. So during the Ice Age Knicks finals against the Rockets, and it's sludge ball. It's awful. It's ugly. It's terrible to watch. It's horrible to watch. Riley has reinvented himself into this thug ball thing, with Charles Oakley and company. Yeah. So we're on an off day practice in the middle of the finals, and Chuck Daly is a commentator for somebody during these finals, and people started hearkening back to the bad boy Pistons, who were that was only 5 years earlier. Okay, it's 5-6 years earlier. And saying, well, that's where it all got started. And he said, don't blame me. Don't blame me. He said, we led the league in scoring, which they did with 105 a game.
Right.
And remember, they had an offensive team. The backcourt, was one of the, by the way, we have a competition for my next statement, the greatest offensive backcourt in the history of basketball, 3-man, because the Warriors are making a bid for that honor right now. But anyway, they, that Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, they were offensive players. Lambeer was good for 15 a game. Mark Aguirre, they had some offensive players. Anyway, Chuck Daly going, don't blame me. No. So anyway, that was that.
I mean, right. The rules have changed over the last few years. So you have that plus the proliferation of the 3-point shot and really getting to the highest level, like Bob said, where you've got Al Horford now jacking threes. Guys that never would have.
Guys, I got the numbers. You ready? In 1997 finals, won by the Bulls 4-2. One team broke 100.
Wow.
Out of 12 opportunities.
And that's crazy considering how great Jordan was.
Under 80 twice. And the game 4 was Utah 78, the Bulls 73 in the NBA finals in 1997. And the next year, this is being the 25th anniversary year for that, 78, 98, right? 77, this will be the 25th year. In those finals, over 90 twice. That's it. Over 90 twice.
I'm looking at it now. They were averaging making about 4.5 to 5 threes a game. Right now, the average is over 12 threes a game.
Right. And I also think in the finals, Bob, your point's well taken. It's obviously accurate. It's going to be interesting to see in this year's finals how much the offense goes down. Because as we all know, defense is played in the playoffs, especially the conference finals, and in the finals, you start to see teams D up. It's not going to go down to 70 points a game. But it'll be interesting how much the defense tightens up in the finals.
No question about it. Well, that's always the trend, but still, the proportion, the relative
crazy
numbers. You know,
well,
what we're talking
let's
about.
face it. You know, I mean, the players are more talented than ever. I mean, they are. I mean, they're more talented than ever. I mean, I love my guys from the 70s, you know, Havlicek and Cowens. You know, they'd still have a role in today's game. But God bless Steve Kaversky. Would he?
Through last night,
I mean,
there have been 75 games of a team scoring 130 points or more. 75 times a team has scored 130 points or more.
That's amazing.
75 times. Teams have scored 140 in the 140s 16 times. They have now scored in the 150s 3 times. As of Monday night, that was the 12th. He had it. It was 11 straight days going through January 1 where someone had scored 40 points or more in an NBA game. Imagine that.
Right.
Now we're up to 12, obviously, with Mitchell, and we're up to 13 after last night.
Yeah. They're doing the
So here's the gist of it all for anyone listening. Take the over.
Good job, Bob.